Hey there. I'm going to explain to you a little bit about why the 12th house and the 6th house are such difficult houses in your chart in traditional astrology. First of all, we have to think of that we have to think of the houses as groups of three. The angle houses or the cardinal houses are the first house, 10th house, 7th house, and 4th house. These angle houses are the strongest and most powerful houses in your chart. If you have planets in these houses, those planets really exert their power forcefully in your life. So they're really important houses. They're called the cardinal houses, or as I said, angle houses, the four angles that hold the chart together. Now, if we're moving around your chart counterclockwise, and let's start with the 10th house. The 10th house is an angle house or your cardinal house. The house that is moving up to it would be the 11th house. So the 11th house is the succeeding house. It's succeeding up to the cardinal house. Once it's reached the cardinal house, it's going to move away, move from this great, wonderful position, and move down into a Caden house, which would be the 9th house. You have to think of the houses like this. Basically, a cardinal house is very and the most powerful house. A succeeding house is rising up in power, soon to hit the cardinal house. And then the Caden house is falling from that power. All right, so now we go to the 7th house, which is another cardinal angle house. And the house that is before that, moving counterclockwise, is the 8th house. The 8th house is a succeeding house. Then you have the 7th house, a cardinal house. And then after that, you have the 6th house, which is a Caden house. And then again, the 5th house, which is a succeeding house, moving up to the 4th house, which is a cardinal angle house. And then falling away is house number 3, the Caden house. And then we're back to the 2nd house being the succeeding house, 1st house cardinal, 12th house Caden. So here's the thing. In traditional astrology, the only house that is you is the 1st house, the ascendant. All the other houses are things that happen to you, parts of your life, or people in your life. But you and you alone, your physical body, your appearance, your attitude, your personality, really is shown in the 1st house. So if you're standing there at the 1st house and you're looking at all these houses, a lot of these houses are able to send their energy to you through angles. In other words, you can see them. You can see directly across from you, house number 7. You can see the 10th house is to the left of you. You can see the 4th house is to the right. You can see all houses that form angles, the traditional angles that traditional astrology uses, which is a sextile, a square, a trine, or an opposition. Now, there you are at your 1st house. You look to the Caden house, the 12th house. There's no angle that is formed to that house. That house is hidden from you, which is why the 12th house represents hidden things in your life. And they're things that can work against you because you have no way to control them or to work on them and to make them better. They are hidden. Now, the 11th house forms a sextile, 10th house a square, and the 9th house, which is another Caden house, forms a trine. So although it's a Caden house, it can still help you because you have an aspect to it. And then you move into the 8th house, which is a succeeding house. You don't have any aspects to the 8th house, but because it's a succeeding house, it's not as damaging as a Caden house. So then you have the 7th house, you have an angle to that directly across. And then you have the 6th house. Again, there is no angle from your ascendant to the 6th house, and that's a Caden house. That's another very difficult house for you. You can't see it. It can't help you. And it's the house of illness and sickness that happens to you not from your own doing. In other words, it's just your luck is really how you have to look at it. Then we go around to the 5th house, 6th Sedent, 4th house, Cardinal, 3rd house, Cadent. So bottom line is the 2 Cadent houses, the 12th and the 6th, these are houses that do not form an angle with the ascendant. Now the 8th house, as I said, doesn't form an angle either, but it's a succeedent house. And so it's really not as damaging. It's that 12th and that 6th house. And that is the reason why those 2 houses in traditional astrology are very difficult for a chart. Now, if you have good planets or planets aspecting that house, it'll be a lot less destructive, and it might even turn the meaning of those houses for your particular chart. It really depends on the chart as a whole.